All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and today is November 18th, 2021. So we are all set to get started. Quick note, we will not be doing the bond yield and yield curve discussion today. I wanted to prepare some visuals, so wasn't able to complete that task, and ultimately we'll pick that up next week. So as we're looking at Thursday's session, just kind of reiterating what we discussed yesterday, the S&P 500 or the SPX index is somewhat flat on the week. You can see that with our currently forming weekly candle. We're definitely in a bit of indecision, and we're pretty much opening where we closed on Friday's session. So this is a bit of an odd difference from the past couple of weeks where we've seen volatility to the upside. We've seen a lot of breaches and tests of the expected move week after week. Very bullish sort of momentum-based market. Last week we had a pullback. That pullback led us to the bottom side or the lower end of the expected move. And now this week we're pretty much smack in the middle with a lack of volatility. We haven't really gone anywhere from this perspective. So doesn't necessarily mean that volatility is to come, but since we have not moved, the idea of movements to this upper or lower range, of course, maybe with some signal on a breakout or breakdown, basically getting away from our inside candles. If that occurs, we do have some levels to anticipate, and ultimately we could see another test of one of these expected move levels in the next two sessions. So what can be the cause of that sort of volatility? Well, we know, at least in recent trading weeks, that a lot of our upside volatility has been facilitated by large tech. And when I say large tech, I'm usually referring to some of those key names that we're so familiar with. The Microsoft, which has made a new all-time high on yesterday's session, did not close as a new high, so that is important to note. The likes of Nvidia, which while it hasn't necessarily been bullish over the past couple of sessions, we did have some topping action about a week and a half ago. We did have earnings come out on Nvidia, and the earnings reaction was quite positive. It's worth noting that Nvidia beat pretty much on all expectations. There's also a bit of forward guidance that was a bit more positive than the market was expecting. And when we entered into Nvidia for the earnings, we were looking at approximately a $20 to $23 expected move. This, of course, was adjusted throughout yesterday's session. We started in the morning with about an $18 expected move. So as Nvidia was profit taking on most of yesterday's session, the implied volatility into earnings actually expanded. And that, to some degree, was a bit of a bullish bias. It showcased that while the expected move was getting larger, we were looking at a lower starting point for earnings. And that doesn't necessarily mean it was going to be a bullish move, but if we did have a bullish reaction, there's sort of more potential to the top side at that price. Now, Nvidia, based upon its current pre-market action, has already made that full $22 move at this time. So while this is certainly going to be on our watch list today, it's worth noting that we've already sort of given all of the expectation for movement based on the option market. So we can be looking for maybe a slight fade in today's session that could ultimately just sort of lead to some weakness inside of the intraday time frame. or we can look to see if this truly wants to continue breaking out. And at that point, it would be more of that 2 sigma type movement, of course, needing to clear all-time highs before that can occur. We also have some sort of price-based levels that we were marking on yesterday's session into earnings, that 314 being relevant on short time frames, along with a false breakout look on the daily. So we've already cleared this in pre-market. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not relevant, but look for pullbacks into those areas if you're considering a long. And then finally, last but not least, we actually had an Apple breakout on yesterday's session. Apple has been one of those stocks where it's been pretty challenging from directional trading perspectives because we've been stuck at what I like to adequately call gravity. This 150 print has been very significant for Apple stock. And you can see how many interactions we've had with it, both prior to previous earnings, even the gap up into some bullish activity and the fall back down. We interacted with this level, we faded, came back to it, and then basically that choppy price action over the past couple of weeks. And this has, of course, led to what's often referred to as VPOC inside of our volume profile. Shorter time frames will show maybe 148 to 149, but 150 area is often where the inflection will occur. But at the end of the day, Apple did have a decent breakout on yesterday's session. We saw some maybe early signs prior to that. I didn't necessarily comment on that on Wednesday's Engineering the Market. But when you look at Apple's chart and when you notice that all of that compression can lead to larger than average moves when you do eventually break out. This is sort of the concept behind range compression, the TTM squeeze if you're using an indicator, or just some sort of range compression or balance going into range exploration or imbalance. Markets often cycle through these very often. So even if a stock is not directional at the time, you're often looking for those early signals in order to get into sort of swing type positions or even to trade a stock in a trending environment on the intraday session. So some key notes with the overall market in tech is that as we've seen, there's been a very strong leadership inside of XLK, all of these tech names that we keep referring to. And essentially, the market's been held up by this strength. That is amidst a number of other sectors not necessarily performing to the upside over the past couple of weeks. We've seen a bit of a stall in some other key sectors. Healthcare coming into our 20 period, so we're certainly looking for possible trend continuation off of this moving average, but so far no sign yet. Financials, which was actually looking to potentially hold for trend continuation. We also had a bit of a trend line to look for possible support. That, of course, broke down. And this is an interesting breakdown because we know that our bond market not only has been selling off for a period of about a week, but on yesterday's session, the bond market experienced a bounce. And the financial sector saw weakness into this bounce. This is a very interesting disconnect from a normal correlation that we often like to refer to. So the masking of weakness in this market is actually occurring more concentrated inside of the tech sector. And when I say that, I'm basically referring to the fact that it doesn't take too much when it comes to the S&P 100 or the S&P 500 to hide weakness amidst some of our larger tech names. This heat map kind of shows some of that on yesterday's session. Yesterday was not particularly bullish by any means, But in general, if you look at this sort of day to day or just get an understanding of where the strength is concentrated, it's notable that it's mostly going to be in our larger market cap names. The likes of Tesla, which is actually recovering approximately from that $1,000 print. Amazon, which had a decent day, gave some of it back into the afternoon session. Microsoft, we note all-time high, Apple breaking out, and even Google near all-time highs, and Facebook starting to recover from what was a more significant correction during September and October. So the masking of weakness in other sectors, the likes of energy coming off of its 20. Notable that crude actually broke down on yesterday's session, coming back into that 77 per barrel print, very notable price level for crude. And let's see, I showed XLY, XLV stall. I think that's pretty much it. But basically the idea here is that not everything is green across the board. We're definitely seeing some rotation occurring. Certain strength in tech met by weakness in financials, bit of a flat performance in healthcare. Those are some of our major sectors, consumer discretionary and communications thrown into the mix. All of these put together into a picture, the idea that the SPY is stalling the past couple of weeks is understandable. Not everything is performing at the same time. And one thing we're looking for is, will tech continue? Or if tech does start to stall or fade, will another sector pick up the slack? At which point, the answer to that question will ultimately dictate whether the market is going to double top, the SPY having that notable double top look at the moment, but no weakness currently. Will the market sort of fall from these price levels? Or will we see continuation or even just a grind higher as markets continue to rotate? Same idea with XLK. We're coming back into our notable channel. We're coming to the bottom side of that channel resistance. We want to be on watch for weakness in this area. We've already had a bit of a false breakout on the top side of that channel. But as I've mentioned, tech is the leader right now. So don't necessarily want to fight that outperformance until we see clearer signs, at which point we could consider fading the market and looking for a larger drawdown. And then finally, our IWM, which has been pulling back over the past week and a half, coming into our first sort of area of interest for pullback buys, that 20-period moving average. I've gone ahead and marked what is often referred to as the buying climax high of the range, and then the false breakout above the range, the upper test that occurred in IWM. Both of these levels are considerations for support. Combine that with our daily 20, and the understanding here is that on our weekly time frame, if I pull up once again the TTM squeeze, which was the concept behind this trade, we have just fired for the first week the bullish signal for this particular indicator. This is sort of the concept of being a bit early to this trade. The idea was we had a daily, weekly, and even shorter term sort of monthly type squeezes forming because of how long IWM was in this range. If this is to continue, we're going to look to see whether one of these pullback areas is signaling a buy opportunity. And the idea here is that if this market is going to trend, it needs to bounce. These pullbacks need to be bought pretty aggressively, and that pullback ultimately needs to result in a new all-time high. So as we watch this market, we've seen weakness in the short term. Market has been pulling back more significantly than the SPY or the NASDAQ. But just like we've seen in other bullish periods of the market, sector rotation, a focus on different areas at different times, and ultimately looking for some technical signals to confirm that thesis are going to drive these markets into different periods of outperformance and underperformance. So with IWM, I would certainly be watching for that shorter term signal. Something as simple as a retracement breakout could be an early sign. Something as simple as some sort of double bottom forming on a short time frame, or just looking for where the market had broken out before, marked, of course, by the larger range and that upper test setting that possible buy zone. So all of these things are on watch at the moment. Everything's sort of lining up to potentially set up that trade. And if you're still involved with the IWM, this is a market that you may want to consider either adding into your position or even considering separate trades if you still consider it to be bullish. So as we shift into some other trade ideas, let's go over some things from yesterday. Short term, Rivian has set its top. We talked extensively yesterday during the ending session of Engineering the Market about how EV mania often will cycle very viciously from bullish to bearish, and you will see that volatility in stocks that are leading or lagging the market. Let me go ahead and take off this unneeded study. So stocks like Rivian, we noted that on the early morning timeframes of Rivian, if you decided to take this bullish momentum to the short side, you had some clear signals. We lost the previous day low. That was that first sign. We broke it pretty precipitously inside of the pre-market session. If you missed that entry for a short-term trade, you're also looking at the previous day low. These are sort of our upper ranges that we have to consider. And if you bring it down to maybe a 5-minute chart, you can see that the morning session actually facilitated that rejection of moving average resistance, the idea that the market was starting to profit take. We knew that early on. And the market, of course, broke that down even further, leading to another significant short. Now, as the market continued to sell, there was some other opportunities in stocks like Lucid, which also sold off pretty heavily, albeit a bit more volatile in the morning session. But you could see that weakness forming in pre-market, along with some significant bounces. I'll go ahead and note a trade that I was able to take on Lucid, and that was simply based on some key level support. The likes of these two candle lows, if you note where those lows are printed, 50.3, 50.32. We go back to Lucid on yesterday's session, where is the low of Lucid's daily range? The low is printed at 50.31. So while this isn't normally as perfect as the market is showing with a stock like Lucid, even if you did not catch these short opportunities, there were some long opportunities as well, using technical levels and signals on the intraday time frame. Just noting here that while this sell-off was approximately a 13% move, and whether you're willing to step in this early or maybe look for some sort of lower high signal, that is a lot of opportunity to your advantage. I prefer using levels, and while I did not necessarily catch the entirety of this move, I just wanted to show the opportunity here. This bounce was approximately 6%. So from an intraday trading perspective, this is opportunity that you want to learn how to recognize. And from a short perspective as well, you often want to understand that stocks often have targets. On the intraday time frame, these targets are where shorts should be profit taking. And ultimately, as a short, you need to know where to get your best money for such a great trade. And that's basically where everything aligns up for these oversold bounces, these technical levels of support and resistance, and ultimately where we can get the best risk to reward as traders. Now, Rivian also had an interesting setup into the afternoon session. We were noting that there was an interesting bidder sitting at approximately 140. Now, if you've attended some of the time and sales level 2 type of analysis that we offer at Bear Bull Traders, you'll understand why that bidder was so important. And as Rivian started to fall into its low of day, this is exactly 140.35, the low of this candle here and the low of this candle here. This is an exact double bottom. As we were falling into this level, I think a lot of us were a bit cautious taking an aggressive long because ultimately there was a large bidder sitting slightly below the low of day. What one of the members mentioned, though, is that that bidder actually disappeared as the stock came into the low of day, started to pull back slightly as it prepared to possibly fulfill that order. The bidder disappeared. And what it ended up happening on a short-term time frame is we got a bit of a short squeeze. Essentially, the target that all of these shorts were looking to facilitate disappeared. And that meant that the market had less of a reason to break down and basically to continue lower. So once again, these intraday signals as short-term traders, knowing how they form, knowing when they are there versus when they are not, or even changes in the market, in the case of this bidder disappearing, we could see the consequence of that move from this low point. And essentially, once that bidder disappeared, this once again was that opportunity with a technical level and a level 2 signal, once again offering about 6% of possible potential upside. So no matter your style of trading, knowing where to get in, knowing when to be short or long biased, and ultimately playing the market depending on what it's giving you, this is the key to being great trading or having a great trading mindset. Basically knowing, yes, I can be long here. Should I be full risk? Probably not. Should I be long here because we're getting into that price level, start scaling into maybe a potential reversal? That can be the case for some of these trades. And then ultimately, the dominant thesis here is that the EV market started to profit take. We had clear signals from pre-market, and you're looking for moments to either get back in short to continue the trend, along with reasons to get out of your short because the market is changing. So just wanted to note some of those interesting price anomalies inside of yesterday's session, along with just reiterating the fact that the EV market was ready to pull back. Rivian was our lead bull for a period of time. We had Lucid dominance as well for a while. And now we have a new possible leader inside of a new IPO, Sono Group, ticker SEV. This was a trade that one of our moderators took into a swing position. And I know a lot of our traders also benefited from the volatility on this yesterday. So looking ahead and looking into the end of the week, just want to reiterate that with dollar strength, we are seeing a bit of a topping formation at this time. This market's moved pretty fast to the upside. This top may eventually be broken, but I think with accelerated moves, you often find that these tops are set for a period of time as consolidation occurs. So just want to keep an eye on this. Dollar strength is putting a lot of pressure on crypto. And all I have to do is shift into our Bitcoin chart to see that we're having some attempts to hold our 50-period moving average on Bitcoin. But as of this moment, things do not necessarily look bullish. We've obviously lost the daily uptrend. We've lost the 20 period, which was holding for an extended period of time near the highs. And if we start to breach through a previous swing low, the selling pressure may continue. Now, This look of the chart is very similar to what we saw back in time, with the likes of our moving averages being tested, responding with higher highs with the lack of follow through. And then even this back test here of our 50 period starting to look pretty similar to what we have today. Ultimately, that doesn't necessarily have to form in the exact way, but markets often give us similarities. So we just want to be cautious in these upper ranges because, one, as a bull, we're not seeing the same follow through as we did on the way up to this price level. And two, we have different market environments. Obviously, the dollar strength is a bit of a concern, and any fluctuations in interest rates, whether they be short or medium term fluctuations, along with the potential of yield curve inversion coming in the longer dated bond yields, that is something that will ultimately affect the perception of risk for basically people who make the rules in this market, the big money players. So the perception of risk, the type of asset that crypto tends to be, very speculative, very volatile, and ultimately some of the underlying effects this market does have futures trading against it. We do see some volatility leading up to future contract rolls. This should be occurring on Friday's session, and afterwards we can maybe look to see if this market is ready to recover or if we're seeing that continuation to the downside. So just kind of looking at some different markets, some different opportunities here. Ultimately, not really seeing any buy signals in Bitcoin. I'm also watching our lead bull alts, things like Ethereum, essentially noting that they have a lot of room to form things like weekly higher lows, but the downside on previous sell-offs can bring us down to the weekly 20. So when we see these extended moves here, topping action on the weekly and then the drawdown, we have to be prepared for the eventual pullbacks, at which point, where did other pullbacks get bought in the past? At least on the weekly perspective, we've seen it come all the way to the 20. While that's a rising moving average, it still is a significant drawdown for this product. So just kind of keeping those on watch. Let's see. I think that's pretty much all I have for today. I guess final comments just on NVIDIA with earnings. BABA also coming out with earnings. We've seen weakness in China stocks throughout their earnings session. You'll note that BABA had a very steep sell-off after its earnings announcement. We're coming into that 150 print. I want to watch that for larger reactions. You can already see larger bounces coming off of 150, but the ultimate trend is still down. If we look at the daily on BABA, we're entering into a possible gap risk for today. If we start to sell off even further, this gap will often not provide a lot of support for bounce plays. So we want to be careful with that oversold condition on BABA, especially since it's after earnings. That's also true of Baidu, having its earnings, seeing a sell-off into earnings, seeing continuation in pre-market. Just note Billy as well. And then JD seeing the opposite effect. JD also came out with earnings, a bit more positive news in response to Singles Day. But overall, the earnings reaction is what I'm most concerned with. And with JD, this is a more technically strong positioned China stock, basically not trading near its lows. We've seen quite a bit of follow through after its previous earnings. And so far, we're just waiting to see if there's any weakness that starts to perpetuate into these names. So some more trading opportunities for today. Most of these will be on the scanners as they are gapping down significantly. But just note that most of them have either had earnings on yesterday's session, have earnings today, and that's of course being reacted to, along with the fact that with earnings, stocks tend to move to specific price levels based on the option market. That's why I'm calling out things like 150 for BABA, along with the technical risk. And once again, just going to our option chain to find these values. Something like BABA reporting about an 8.5 expected move, and closing at 161, we're actually breaching slightly below the normal expected move for the week. So that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed the analysis this week. We've been maybe a little bit more sporadic than I would have liked, but ultimately there was a lot to talk about. So hopefully we got a little piece of everything for everybody. Next week, as I mentioned, we'll look at bond yields and the yield curve inversion, how that affects the economic cycle, the business cycle, and ultimately the stock market cycle. We'll talk more about some upcoming earnings that are coming up next week. Things are starting to basically hit that tail end of larger market cap names. We also have some retail names that came out yesterday, likes of TJ Maxx and Ross. Those names, maybe not intraday traders for the most part, but might provide some short-term opportunity. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is Thursday, and y'all trade safe into the rest of the week. We'll talk more next week. Stay tuned for pre-market prep.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone had an amazing day yesterday. Hope you're having a great morning. Good morning, Norm. How are you feeling today, my friend?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm not 100%, but this is the first morning I woke up and I actually felt like I improved over the day before. So I want to thank everybody for covering me, especially Peter. So I know he's not here this morning. I think he's getting a fill-in or something. But nevertheless, uh, thanks for all the well wishes. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, man. Happy you are doing
Bear with
better.
me because
Yep.
I've been, I haven't. Hell, I didn't even get out of bed yesterday. So, bear with me because I'm a little behind on some of what's going on with things. Have not looked at the markets in a couple of days. The only thing I know is if I'd have put all my money in some EVs right
Yes.
before I got sick on Friday, I could have retired today. So,
You would have been doing very, very well. That's for sure. Um, all right, guys. Let's get into it. We had a bit of EV stuff on our list yesterday. As you know, this thing continues to be really hot and very active. We had AMD yesterday, and a lot of stocks. I don't know. They were not super clean yesterday. They were especially AMD. We've seen better out of them. A little choppy start in the morning, as we tend to usually see. Then you had the nice breakout later in the day, followed by a nice little drop here to VWAP and lower. So you're still getting some good ranges. It is great to see though that this daily, right? The daily looks amazing, guys, amazing. But if you look at the 5 minute, it hasn't been all that clean. Yes, there was a lot. No, sorry, the day before was a lot cleaner. Had a nice drop down all the way down. Then we had a nice push up, which was great. But then overall, yesterday was not all that great. Go EV again, guys. We know this thing has been going wild. Had a great pre-market action. This thing went pretty high, 1355, and like many of the EV stocks at the open, they kind of sold off a little bit. We usually get the question. We're talking about this, is it profit taking? And yes, some of it is profit taking, but for the most part, does not have to be the entire move, right? So there could be other stuff happening in there as well. It's not all profit taking, but I'm sure that is part of it, right? Especially we saw that on Lucid yesterday. I mean, this thing, if you look at the daily, let's take a quick look at that. Where's my daily here? F4. I mean, this thing has run up pretty aggressive over the last month. I mean, just look at November. Before November, anybody sitting here, thinking this was a good buy, that's doing any kind of swing trading, long term stuff, you're sitting at 26, and a couple of weeks later, you are at 58. Yeah, there will be some profit taking happening there, but again, there's other stuff as well going on. And you really would never know what causes the drop as far as if you're trying to, allocate into like, oh, it's profit taking, is this, is that. You really would never know that information. But nice sell off yesterday, of course. I think this stock is still very strong. We're still seeing incredible volumes, guys. I mean, we are 5 million this morning. Was it yesterday or the day before? We saw, what was it, like 18 million, 15 million in the pre-market? It was just insane numbers on how much this is trading. So pre-market action yesterday, very, very active, beautiful sell-off. And you saw how Andrew traded this. Where was that? That was yeah, right in here. He caught this short, beautiful entry, guys. A little bit of a chase on the 1 minute. You can see his recap, but a beautiful short there. You got a nice little drop there. And then Jared gets in here. He gets in at 53 for the long. I mean, man, talk about picking that one off nicely. He does great at those reversals. Just a beautiful, beautiful entry there for a nice continuation play. So well done, guys. Then we have Plug as well on our list, which did actually very well. Plug is interesting, man. A horrible pre-market action. I think it was Chris MC. Someone mentioned this one, or maybe Hamish. I don't remember. But either way, you can see the beautiful pop here. Nice takeoff, and then some beautiful rejection comes right back down. Look at this sell-off again. If you were timing this correctly, you could have done very well on this one also. And then we have Roku, which again, I tell you guys, Roku is one of my favorite stocks to trade when it is in play. Norm, I know you like it them as well. And yesterday was just beautiful, and it all started with this amazing daily we had here, guys. Just losing some of these levels here. It gapped down below this area of support, and just look at the continuation we got yesterday. Just incredible. I mean, they're definitely getting crushed. Look at this here, going from 264. Nice open range breakdown. The 5 minute, beautiful pullback. I mean, everything on Roku was clean yesterday. And I think they'll be interesting to watch over the next coming days. And last one but not least, here we had PayPal. PayPal also was in play yesterday. Typically does not trade very well, but this they had this great pre-market action. I don't recall the catalyst on this one, but they had this great pre-market action, and here it does a beautiful fallen angel, and just look at the drop you're getting back to the low of the pre-market. That's no good, and then continuation all the way down to 204, guys. So again, some pretty beautiful plays yesterday. A lot to take advantage of if you were watching the right stock. So this morning, let's get Norm. I know you have not been caught up too much on what's going on with the overall market. What do we have as far as the market pulse?
Yeah, so this morning we had initial jobless claims, continuing claims at 8:30. Those came in roughly in line with expected. And then Philly Fed Manufacturing Index came in better than expected. 10 a.m. We've got leading economic indicators. As we sit here on the SPY, we're right up against all-time highs, still have earnings coming in. China, you'll see there were some earnings on Chinese stocks this morning. Jared touched on that for a moment. So we've got a number of those dropping today on some of that, and then EVs pulling back just a little bit after their massive run the last few days. Lucid, Rivian, Go EV, and such. So it's and then we're starting to get retail earnings, which happen usually at the tail end of the earnings season. And also, you got to remember we got Black Friday around the corner next week, and the big holiday shopping season and such. So those will be in play as well. So that's what we got.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yes, it's definitely going to be exciting. This market has been pretty nice to trade. Question from Nicky Ricky. He's new at the YouTube channel. He's asking, are we short players? No, we do both. So we long and short. As day traders, we have the flexibility to take any position that shows up in whether long or short. So with that said, guys, let's get rid of our watches from yesterday. I'll remove this little epic pen from this area, move that there, and then we'll Control X. Make sure I do this right because I messed it up last time. Control A, Control X. There it goes. Perfect. All right, let's start with our gapping up list today. We are DRNA. No,
it's
good.
a buyout. Move on.
Yeah. Let's move on from there. Macy's. Peter was talking about Macy's, right? Earnings last night.
This morning, I think.
This morning.
But, yeah. I think it was this morning. Yeah.
I think this is the only time we really watch Macy's when they have earnings and they or any kind of catalyst. Looking good right now, guys. Good pre-market action, up 3.2. I mean, they've been crushing it. Surprisingly so. Macy's,
they're up 11%.
Yeah. So they're just look at the daily as well. So the beginning of the year, nothing but good stuff happening, especially after the summer here, man. It's just they've been doing very, very well. So Macy's 3.3 million, up 10%, 11%, looking very good. ZTO today. This is this is not good. So we'll skip on that one. EVCM, not sure what's going on here. No, this is no good. Are people confusing this EV with EV vehicle? Because this is only Ever Commerce, so I don't think it's an EV company, but I don't know why this is up today.
I think they had a secondary that they announced they're not going to do, so that's popping them up.
All right, so it looks crappy. Let's move on. Coase, do Coase and Macy, they do their earnings together? They always are doing the same thing, right? I think they kind of
a lot of times are on the same date.
Same day, yeah. So
Coase, that retail clusters around the end of earnings season, so they happen to be around that same time. So
yep. I'm going to put Coase as a possible. I like Macy's a whole lot better. They're definitely got some extra volume here at the moment. I just think Macy's can trade a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner. NVIDIA this morning, their daily, along with
last night.
Earnings as well. Nice daily here, consolidation. We're popping up nicely with earnings. Look at the volume on NVIDIA, guys. 2.2 million shares traded. So definitely in play, and we've seen some pretty good intraday action out of AMD. Out of NVIDIA and AMD as well in the last couple of days. So really like to have them there as a main one. D now this morning is not going anywhere now. GPS is Gap. This is Gap, right? Yeah, they are just brutal. Out of all the retail companies, they are brutal to trade. I'm assuming earnings as well. Again, just I won't touch this. IonQ, the last
and Gap's days. Just moving in. Gap's moving in sympathy with Macy's and Kohl's, I think. So
so they don't have earnings.
They don't even know. They don't have earnings until next week. So
okay, all right. So I guess they're enjoying some of the positive news they're getting on the other reaction of the other companies. But yeah, it's just brutal stock to trade. INQ is here, guys. The last 2 days, we've seen some good movement out of them here. Again, I'm just not a fan of the way this thing trades at all. I mean, yesterday, look at just the entire chop into, the end of the day. End of the day, you had this breakout. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. All right. Some more retail companies. We got BBBY on here as well. They are not looking great. I'm assuming another sympathy move. Yeah, because earnings is showing in January. So that's nowhere near now. So I'm not sure. Bed Bath and Beyond. We have Otley here, which is not looking great. NVAX, which is very difficult to trade, guys. The price action on this is very sporadic. It's not fluid at all. So I don't like this one. Man, we have a ton. I'm just going to do 2 more. Roblox this morning. Man, their Roblox breakout has been real nice. We saw this get really active here when we had this huge gap up. It traded very well on this day here. And the daily's looking pretty aggressive here, guys.
We
so
got
right
a
now,
massive price target upgrade out of Morgan Stanley this morning. They were overweight to begin with, but they moved their price target from 88 to 150.
Wow. Wow, they're doing very good, guys, right here. 500,000 shares traded up 3.3. Only reason I am putting it as possible is because even with this great move they're getting here, they can be difficult to trade. Some of these pullbacks are very aggressive, so just be mindful of that. Last one here before we move on to the gapping down is JD. JD, we used to trade this a ton. I don't think I have traded it in the last year and a half. Every time I look at it, it just doesn't look great. They're up 3.5 right now, 674. Their daily seems slightly interesting here. So maybe today could be the day where we get back.
They're swimming against the stream. A lot of those Chinese ones reported this morning. JD was the one that had decent earnings, so they're actually on the gap up versus the slew of Chinese names on the downside.
Interesting. Well, we'll definitely keep that one on there. And speaking of the downside, let's head over to what's gapping down today. LTRX, horrible action. We'll skip on this. CERT, not getting any better, so no good there. We've seen this ticker in our gappers list before. It trades horrible. Anyway. Yeah, it trades horrible. Let's skip on that. CTOS, horrible pre-market action. Man, what was it? The top 5 worst stocks are on the top of the gap down list. What's going on? Should we start from the bottom?
That's on a secondary as well. I just think we're kind of at highs in some areas, and so companies are taking advantage of it, raise capital.
Yeah. VIPS has a good pre-market action, 1 million shares traded. I normally, this one is not one that we keep, but I have to say, after looking at the first top 4 there, top 3, this is looking very good.
Same Chinese retail slowdown earnings this morning issue.
Yeah. VIPS is one that trades a little bit better than some. I'm going to put it on here. It might not stay as a main one just because of the whole Chinese thing. I do like, talking about Chinese stocks, I do like BABA. Let's look at BABA. This is one that I really like. I didn't before, but they have become actually pretty decent to watch and trade. 2.4 million right now. They are down 6.1 after a nice little run they had in October, heading back down here and now losing some ground. This could be a good one today. Down 6.1, 2.4 million. We'll keep an eye on that one. MULN. No, we saw this yesterday and the day before, I think. It is a horrible low flow stock. Billy also down. Billy could be good at times as well. So another one that we can watch here. I'm going to put that as a possible. I don't want my main list to be full with just the Chinese overall stocks and news happening there. CSCO, Cisco. Wow, big drop for them, guys. 7.1, 854,000. I like what I'm seeing here. They typically are not the best trading stock, but I like this pre-market action today from them.
Earnings last night. Their guidance was troubling. That was the primary issue there.
All right, worth watching today, guys. 900,000 shares traded, which is amazing volume for Cisco. They normally do not trade that heavy volume in the pre-market, so this earnings catalyst is very good for this morning. Here's Lucid, which has been making a whole ton of noise. 5.2 million shares traded. They are down 6.3 this morning. I think you have to have this one on deck. It's just been one to definitely watch.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely to watch. I mean, it's just the volume is there, guys. And anytime you pick a direction, you can get a nice move, 50, 60 cents move very, very easily. So be mindful of that when you're taking your share sizing as well. very active pre-market. Gonna have this on here. And guys, just keep in mind, man, this thing is on an uptrend. So don't have a bias. Yes, you can short this, get a nice move, but just don't have a bias, long or short. Just wait to tell you what the price action is showing you, right? Read the price action, see what's going on. Look at Andrew's recap yesterday. He talks about this price action here and why he shorted this stock, right? At the open, so just be mindful of that. And then right after that, you saw Jerry taking it long, right? So they're just reading the price action. They're not having a bias. Do the same here as well when you're trading. All right, pretty decent so far. Norm, anything you like on your end?
No, I've got enough here, and these days coming back after being out for a bit, I take it slow anyway. So
Yeah. Watch less tickers. It's just kind of easier way back into it. Makes perfect sense. Let's take it over to the chat room this morning. We are starting with let's start with Gary BB. Gary BB, you're giving us AMD is ripping. Let's take a look. AMD's on our list. I mean, this daily is just amazing, and they've been trading very well. Besides yesterday, yesterday was not so great, but the day before that, really, really good trading. This day right on here, they had a nice little drop and they just took off. Very, very clean. Look at the possible breakout we're getting here today. Pre-market looking good, 888,000. I mean, what more can you ask for a stock to be in play? AMD is it. So, Gary, we left off with Gary. Chris, same thing. AMD, good. Thank you. Jason, you're giving us Fubo.
Fubo.
Fubo. Yeah, Fubo's a clothing company. Fubo, a little bit different. No, I don't see this being any good right now. It's just nothing good happening here at the moment. So we'll skip on that one for now. You're looking at the daily. Yeah, I see the drop here. That's interesting. But it's flattening out now, so you just don't know what's going to happen. You might just get stuck in some chop for the next couple of days, right? So whatever caused this is done. It might just chop around here to decide what's next, right? They're sitting at an area of support here. I just don't see it great for right now, especially with that pre-market action. AMD, we have SEV right now. Recent IPO opened up yesterday, ended well yesterday. Looks like it traded well as well. A couple of halts and then it kind of settled down and it ended green, so it did not sell off. That's always good for an IPO. And this morning they got a ton of volume. They're up 15%. I got to tell you, for an IPO, everything looks good here. Maybe they're trying to follow what Rivian did a little bit here. What kind of company is this? Are they in EV? They do have EV on their name.
Yeah. I believe Brian's Brian
Swinging
took this
this?
as a swing trade. I think so.
Very nice. Very, very nice. We can I'll add as a possible. I usually like to have more information on the daily, but for a quick scalp or some moves, swing trade like Brian just did, this is looking very good, looking strong. Always great when your IPO starts like this and ends up green and possible continuation. That is always a positive thing there. So and again, anything with EV has been really, really exciting. Heading up here, who else do we have? So SEV is good, AMD is good, Disney. What's going on with Disney? So streaming services just getting killed a little bit here. Roku, same thing here. Disney getting destroyed a little bit here as well. So yeah, not good. Disney right now doesn't look as great though, pre-market wise. It'll be good to watch at the market open, see what it does there. Same thing with Roku. They're a little bit quiet this morning after such a big drop yesterday. I'll wait for these to hit the scanners, turbo breakdown or something. But right now I don't see them really heavily in play to put on our list. Jose, you're giving a CRDF. What's the float on this? CRDF. Float, you're looking at 37 million. I do not like this pre-market action at all. You got 4 million, and look how you have been trading that 4 million so far. This is not great. You got a nice
Are you
pop up
saying
here.
no way, Jose?
No way, Jose. Yes. So no way, Jose, for now. Unless we see something change here. I just don't like what's happening right at the moment. A firm, not a low flow stock, but pretty close at 35 million. Now, A firm here, guys, they are dropping 4.3, 388. Their daily is messy. You guys remember this? We had forgot the catalyst that broke out here. They've just been chopping around. It could be interesting. Are they looking to lose this 141.60? Maybe. If they do that, that could be great. But if they're just going to chop around, I'm just not a big fan of that. So not sure if there's any catalyst running A firm this morning. Looks awful, but it has news. Oh, you did give us something here. Announcement proposed a private offering. Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out at the open. Yep. Thank you, Joel. or Joe. I know sometimes those can go both ways. Let's see here. GFS. Nice breakout. 7.1. See, I'm always concerned with this here though, because I've lost a lot of money on stocks that start off like this, right? Where it's $63, you're at 67. You only traded 54,000 shares, right? You're up 7%. That always concerns me. The spread is going to be horrible. The price action is going to be pretty crappy. Just be careful. You see it already in the pre-market. Can that change at the market open? Yes, but when I go back and look at their daily, for the most part, they're not a big fan of trading heavy volume. So again, it could be tradable. Just be very, very careful here, guys. This thing drops on you on one order. One guy can come in here and drop 10,000 shares, and you could be down $1.50 just like that, right? So just be careful with that one. All right, let's stop here. Let's take a few from YouTube. What do we have? Lucid is on deck. Homer, you're giving us fuel cell. Let's take a look. F cell here. No, I don't think they're really in play, especially today when we have Macy's. We haven't. Oh, Macy's looking so nice. Breakout there. Nvidia looking amazing. Even VIPS, which is a Chinese stock, looking good. Baba's looking great for another breakdown if they're not going to hold here. We've been testing this heavily here over at 151. So let's see if we're going to hold that there. CSCO, same thing, looking good. I mean, guys, you look at this list here. I don't think we need to add anything more. AMD breaking out from the pre-market highs right here and holding. I mean, we're in for a very, very good day, and it's only 8:56 already. So SEV, we have that as a possible recent IPO, EV stuff doing well there. Rivian, I like this one to watch for fun. I don't trade it. I think it's just too unpredictable to manage the risk. So you got to be very careful on that one. They got 1.6. Yeah, I think they're in play. Maybe a possible. So Rivian, let's put that one on here. VN is
gotta
good.
Be careful with that one because it's so volatile.
Treat it like a low flow, guys. Really treat it like a low flow because, I'm going to actually put it down here so we don't confuse our viewers and members. You want to be careful with this. Treat it like a low flow. We'll put it on the low flow side right there. IonQ, Gene, we looked at that. It's just crappy, especially with the other stuff that we have here that looks so good. ILV, is that a ticker? That's not coming up. So we'll skip on that for now. BA is good. We have BA on the list, do we? Oh, no, we have BABA. BA gapping up 1.7. Could be interesting. I just have so many that look so better right now. So I'm going to, unless I find something that looks extremely good, we might call it and just head right to announcements. One more here. Oh, no. We'll stop here. Let's stop right here. ELOX. No. Let's stop right here. Let's go to announcements. That one's not looking no good, guys. We'll come back after we fine tune after announcements. And we see this one's so bad it messed me up. I can't even talk. Let's go to announcements.
All right. Eamon's webinar on trend trading should be posted. Last night we had NADA. That was at 8 p.m. Should be posted soon if it's not already. Talking about mindfulness, improving conversations with yourself. Just a reminder, we've got a little over a week left for November, and charity of the month is Fisher Center for Alzheimer's Research. That'll be matched dollar for dollar from any super chats that come in over on YouTube. All right, guys, we spent many months putting this together. StockTradingSimulator.com. You can go over there, free trading simulator. And down at the bottom, if you sign up, you will get essentially kind of like homework assignments from Eamon and Simon that'll send them out a couple of times a week. Just some ideas of things to trade to hone your skills. So go check that out when you get a chance. If you're watching on YouTube and haven't been in the chat room, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you a discount off the intro membership. All you got to do is go to barebulltraders.com, scroll about halfway down the page. You'll see that test drive now button. If you click on that, fill it out, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll be a discount. It's a one-time payment. It does not recur. You will not be charged again. You actively have to go choose another membership category if you'd like to continue on after the 7 calendar days and 5 trading days in the room. Do keep in mind on that, though. This is Thursday, so we're starting to get, I guess if you signed up today, you'd get the full time, but market close next Thursday, half day Friday, I believe. So you will once we start getting into next week, you will not get the full time in there. Also, the Black Friday sale still going on. Use the promo code Black Friday 45. It'll get you 45% off the annual Elite membership. Also give you a free month of DAS Simulator.
All right, folks, let's get to it here. Let's go ahead and start with our list this morning. I think we got a very, very nice one. And we have Macy's here. We'll keep that one on our main list. We have NVIDIA. That looks very good. VIPS. I think Baba looks better. Maybe we'll keep Baba. Yeah, it looks good, guys. Has volume. We have inventory for short there, 1 million. I think it's a great possible, very nice possible here. But Baba will be the one that we keep on deck here. So let's get rid of it from our main list. So Baba is there. CSCO, Cisco. Even Cisco is looking good today, which they normally, as you can see here, very, very choppy, right? For the most part, as an overall stock. But looking good this morning. Great pre-market action. Lucid is nice as well. And then we have AMD. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what we like to see here. And for those that are joining us new, either members or over on YouTube, here is our main list. This is what we're going to do levels for. Here is our secondary list. These are things that, you know, can potentially trade very well or are trading very well. But again, they're just not beating this list here with the way we like to trade, right? So just keep that in mind. And then we have our risky pile stuff over here. This is kind of the low flow stuff and the stuff that's a little bit on the riskier side. You just want to be careful with this thing here. Because again, if you're starting out, if you're new or just not all that experienced yet, or even if you're not new and you're just having a little trouble with your discipline, this is not one you want to go mess with, right? Because these low flow stocks can make you pay big time. So just keep that in mind there. All right, let's go ahead and start with levels. Macy's this morning, they are looking very, very good. High of the pre-market right now is 35.19. Beautiful pre-market action out of Macy's. Amazing daily as well. Just look at the run they've been having. After every push up, they're just kind of holding here. Another run here, they kind of dip a little bit, but another run. You know, just ABCD pattern after ABCD pattern kind of thing here. So looking very good as far as that. Towards the bottom, you do have the highs and lows from the last two trading days, doing a pretty good job down here. When was the last time Macy's was at 30 something bucks? It's been a while. Hasn't been all this year for sure. I'm sure it's been a while. Let's go back here into some time. So we see, wow, 2018 was the last time Macy's, 2018, 2019, early 2019 was the last time Macy's saw these numbers. So I'm sure they are very, very happy. Right now, we're looking at 38 on the daily. Nice area of support and a little bit of resistance right here. In between that, let's zoom in a little bit more and get a better... Oh, don't do that. Let's put that back. Hold on. Okay, we'll put that back there. Let's zoom in here just a tad more so we can get a better look at things. Here we go. So that's a good one. 38.20 is nice. We have another... right over here. This is good. Yeah, changing direction there. A couple of resistance happening there. A little bit of support consolidation in this area. So this 37.07 is pretty good. And then, you know, 36 is it could possibly be one, right? I'm not looking at the daily, but if you look at 36, you know you are going to get some kind of action here around these whole dollar numbers. You usually do. So you put down 36 and then you have your high of your pre-market this morning, 35.20. Which is actually very, very good level on the daily, going back to when we were trading around this price range, right? You could see a nice support area here, resistance as well. So again, a lot of touches on that 35.20 as far as the level. So that is Macy's, guys. It definitely has been exciting for them this year. I mean, all last year they were hanging around $8, and now they're sitting at 35. So pretty good run, looking good this morning. Great pre-market action, amazing volume. Here's NVIDIA, who's also has had an incredible year. High of the pre-market this morning, we're looking at 320.90. So we'll throw a level there. 320.90 is good. And then towards the bottom, guys, you have this beautiful consolidation we had after such a nice run early in the month. And now we're just kind of breaking out of this pre-market high. Look at the range we had here, right? Testing testing the all-time highs here around 323. Let's see if we have the juice to push out of this, right? So beautiful pre-market action. I don't think you really need to mark down any more levels. You pretty much cover top and bottom. Maybe right here, you got a couple of days, two of these, showing a little bit of resistance around 313. maybe we mark that down in case we can use that as support again. We used it in the pre-market already a little bit, as you can see right on there. But just in case we do drop, that could be a level you might want to have on your list already. Here's Baba. Oh, Baba. Yes. Look at the drop here, guys. We had 150, which I'm going to mark this down anyway, because that is a nice level in the pre-market this morning. We tried to find support there. We couldn't. Now we are dropping our new pre-market low. I'm gonna wait for it, see what we create there. But a nice drop on for them this morning here. 144. 59 might be just 145, another great area of support, a little bit of resistance, and then all the way down here at 139.10. So we know this thing can run a little bit. Pre-market is looking great. You have the volume, you have the catalyst pushing this down. This has everything going for it this morning. Foreign stock, but one of the best Chinese trading stocks is Baba. 155.01, another great area towards the top here above the price action in case we do decide to change directions. 155.01, it's a good one there. In the pre-market, you see we kind of flirted with that a little bit here as well this morning. So that's good. All right, that's all set for Baba. Here is Cisco. Cisco has a beautiful pre-market action. Typically, these guys don't trade very well. They don't get the volume. They had earnings, I believe, right? That is what's causing this movement here. Cisco earnings after hours last night. Here it goes, earnings. So again, they're definitely in play, and they're playing very nice in the pre-market. 52.05 low of the pre-market right now. Your high is set up at 53.87, so that's good. You got this one day here over at 52, might be 53, right on this. We'll mark that down as well. If you go back, it's a whole dollar number, so you might see some days opening, closing right around that area. That is good. So you might want to have that on there, even in the pre-market. Now, also some action around that area as well. Now, towards the bottom, major levels on the daily here, you're not going to get great ones because, as I mentioned before, this stock doesn't trade very well. And you can see that here. Look how bad this daily is, right? So you want to make sure on something like this, you find levels that have a lot of touches or a huge change in direction. I mean, look at this thing here. Gaps down over to 50.15, then pops up to almost 53. So pretty nice day for them there. Talk about an overreaction, whatever that gap down was. And here we do have a level around 51.07. So we'll stop there on it. They're getting a nice little bounce here now, trying to get going towards the upside. Let's see if that can turn into something. Here is Lucid, guys, 5.6. Again, very aggressive with the volume. They've been just incredible the last couple of days. Low of the pre-market right now, over at 48.02. Did I mark the wrong place? Yeah, that's not it. We're gonna mark the low of the pre-market right over here, 48.02. But 48.83 does have a little bit of support here in the pre-market, so you want to have that on there. And then you look at the bigger picture on the daily, and you're pretty much taken care of here, guys. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. You have the previous day close up here as well. Again, no bias on this, guys. Be very, very careful. And I'll say it again for those that did not miss it. You saw it yesterday with Jared and Andrew, right? Andrew taking a short right at the open, taking his profits and partials out, and then Jared taking it in at 53 on the way up, right? So no bias at all, just looking at the price action and seeing where this thing wants to go. Right now, I still see this stock as a very strong stock, right? So be careful with having a bias towards the short side, especially when you have this type of volume, when you have the EV mania that's going on right now. Although the price might not make sense, sometimes the market doesn't care about that, right? 43.39, another great area of support you have right on here. And then towards the bottom of that, you have I don't see a clean level here. I see this one here, 36, pretty far out, but in between here, I don't see anything that clean that looks great, right? So I'm just going to keep 36, 35. Again, price action on this is king, especially when you have this type of volume and you have the type of catalyst that is moving all these EV type vehicles, stocks. All right, AMD, guys, beautiful. I mean, this is just amazing. Daily here that we're getting towards the bottom. You do not really need to add anything. I mean, you have all the levels set here. This is pretty much taking care of everything down there. Towards the top, all you have to mark down is this. Are we ripping all-time highs here? 156.21. Is that it, or did we get some pre-market highs in here on this date? But either way, we're slamming into that all-time highs on AMD. Just incredible. So 156.21 is all you really need to put down on AMD. The rest is already handled for you. So you don't need to do anything else there. So, all right, pretty much set. Question on YouTube. This is a good one. Do you think NVIDIA will sell off at the open? We don't know. we do not know. But I'll tell you this, usually when you get pretty extended, you do tend to have a sell-off, right? Maybe some profit taking or whatever the case may be. You're also coming up at an area of resistance. Maybe some buyers think that, hey, we're going to struggle to get above this. Let's take our profit now. Let's get out now. Let's position ourselves for a short now. So many things can happen at this all-time highs area, or you can really get going and break through it. So we really don't know. This is why you really have to watch the price action and see what that is setting up like, and what information the price action is giving you, right? So we'll see what it does there. All right, let's take a look, guys, at our moderators lineup. Interesting to see what is going on that end, what they have this morning. I see some are trickling in now, so very good. Let me go ahead and resize this. Guys, over on YouTube, smash that thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. It does help our channel quite a bit, so thank you for that. You don't want Norm and I to get canceled because we don't get enough likes, so we appreciate you guys hitting that button very much. Disable video here so you guys don't get the mirror effect, and I'm going to bring over the moderators list, and we will get going here. So let's go here. And I'm only kidding about getting canceled. If we haven't got canceled by now with the stuff that me and Norm come up with, I think we'll be fine. All right, let's get our list here this morning. How do I bring this up? I got to get a hotkey for this so that I can do it faster next time. But here it is. There we go. Okay, let's go through this list. So we have, I think, Thor's like waking up like extra early, right? He's waking up extra early the last couple of days. His watch list is done before 9. Here's his watch list, guys. He's looking at main list, Baba, Nvidia, Macy's, Lucid, and he also has secondary QCOM, Disney, and Apple. You know what? We didn't look at Apple, and Apple could be a good one. So we'll take a look at that after this. And towards the bottom, we have AIM and potential longs, Apple and CCL, potential shorts, Tiger. Everybody has Apple except me, so I feel left out. I'm going to add Apple. Dima has Apple, also AMD, NVIDIA, and JD. Tiffany's looking at NVIDIA, Baba, Macy's, and AMD. Jared's looking at Baba, JD, NVIDIA, Lucid, Rivian. Secondary list for him, Disney, Piton, PayPal, mRNA. Jared's on the long side of the list today. So I see a lot going on there for him this morning. So, all right. Excellent, guys. Let's take a look at a couple of things here. I see we got a little bit of time, 9:12, so we got 3 minutes. Take a look at Apple. I see a lot of the moderators having Apple on their list. What is going on here? Are we slamming up? Oh, 10 million. 10 million shares traded on Apple? Why? What's the news, guys? That is major volume for Apple. I don't think I've ever seen Apple trade that much in the pre-market. 5 million from Andrew. Repair? What do you mean a self-repair? So, self-repair program? That's what it is? Wow. Okay, we'll have to see. I don't think I ever traded a catalyst like that. So we'll have to see how that trades. Okay. Oh, allow customers. I haven't heard the news. So allow customers to self-repair their phones. That's interesting. All right, that's interesting. All right. Yeah, I'll add as a possible. Volume is definitely there. I mean, and also on top of that, they're slamming up on all-time highs. They're pretty close as well. So we'll put Apple on there. That's insane volume for them. We'll love to see how that's going to trade at the open. Just be careful. That type of volume, with the way the pre-market is pretty much flat right now, could create a lot of a chop at the market open. So just be careful on that one. All right, we are all set, guys. Thank you so much over on YouTube. Oh, here's Brian with his list. Baba, JD, SEV, PTLO, and NVIDIA. I don't think we ever looked at PTLO. PTLO getting a nice drop here. PTLO. Okay, PTLO getting a nice little drop here, guys. Be careful with this one. Recent IPO that seems to just be flushing here. So careful with that one. That can move very aggressively, guys. High of that one this morning was 60. We're now at $44. They are just getting crushed. So be very careful. They only traded 123,000. Treat this like a low flow stock. It's just very, very, very risky stock there. All right, guys, we're all set. How do you pick your targets for your trades? A combo of ATR, resistance, support. Yeah, Daniel over on YouTube. So yeah, as you saw, we're preparing it based on the daily and just finding areas of great resistance and support. We see a lot of touches. We go through this in our education center in much detail on how we build this watch list. What are we looking for? What is a good pre-market action, bad pre-market action, good daily, So all that information that, we can cover all now in this segment, but all that information is available on our education center. All right. With that said, guys, thank you so much for joining us over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, guys. Again, it does help us out a whole lot. That 1 second it takes you to hit that thumbs up does amazing stuff for us on our end. So thank you for that very much. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Tomorrow is Friday. No, excuse me. I'll see you guys at 8:30. There will be no engineering the markets with Jared. He takes off on Fridays. That he has other stuff happening later in the day in the chat room, like the crypto stuff and markets at around noon. So we'll see you at 8:30, guys. Take care, trade safe, and have a good one. Take care, guys.